God, cute boys. We cut
I'm
it.
like, tell me your first drama was not Boys Over Flowers. Did you cut?
No, I'm just
Oh,
saying I'm gonna cut it at this point. It's
okay,
unnecessary.
just keep moving, keep moving.
Unnecessary.
And welcome everybody to another episode of the Least Most podcast. I'm your host Tony,
And I'm your girl, Simi.
and yeah, today we are going to be talking about a beautiful, beautiful drama. It's a Korean drama called "It's Okay to Not Be Okay," and I kid you not, the amount of times that the amount of times that me and Timmy said the name wrong, it's actually not that hard to say, but we'd be like, "It's okay not to be okay.
Be
It's okay."
okay.
It's just we just kept mixing it up, but here we are. We've got it finally. The name of the drama is "It's Okay to Not Be Okay."
It's okay to not be okay. I actually
Yeah.
had to write it down, guys, because I was messing it up and Toby will be reminding me, girl, it's not like that. Girl, it's not like that. And I'm like, I'm sure it's like that. And then she was like, no, it's not.
But anyway, so yeah, so we're just gonna quickly run through a synopsis
Oh,
since
yes.
we've already established that we're a podcast that gives spoilers. There's nothing we can do about that. I mean, it's a review, so we're just gonna have to move. We move in it. So yeah.
Yeah, guys. So actually, this episode, not episode, I mean, this show has just recently ended on Netflix. And I have to say, it's a very interesting and unique story, but we will
Mm-hmm.
go into that later. So the plot of It's Okay Not to Be, see, I've messed it up again. Oh, so the plot of It's Okay to Not Be Okay, there we go. There you go, girl. Is about it centers around a man who is employed in the psychiatric ward, and a woman who has an antisocial personality disorder who is a popular writer of children's book. So it centers around Moon Kang Tae and um oh, what's the girl's name? Oh Lord, what's her name? Oh Lord. And
Ko Moon Young.
Yeah, there you go. Ko Moon Young. I am so sorry, guys. Yes.
Sorry, to make things easier for everyone, we're just gonna call her Miss Moon because yeah,
Yes.
we're
That's
just
that's
gonna call
actually
her
a
Miss
better
Moon.
idea
Yeah,
actually. Yeah.
and so it's gonna be Kang. Oh, actually no, Kang Tae is easy to say, but
Yeah,
Moon
Kang
Young is a
Tae
little
and
harder.
Moon and
Young,
Miss Moon.
yeah,
Yeah.
Miss
So
Moon.
it centers around Kang Tae and Miss Moon. So right. So tell me, what did you think of the the plot? What did you think?
At first I was a bit skeptical because I was like, how are they gonna portray mental health? Because
Mm.
it can be a very sensitive topic.
Mhm.
So I was kind of like, I wasn't sure if they're gonna just come at it with a comical view, because like from the first like maybe two episodes, it kind of looked like it was gonna be more like playful, like
Mm.
not heavy, but
Mm.
actually, as time went on, it actually got a bit intense. I shed a few
It did.
tears. I can't lie.
It did.
I did
Oh, no, I
shed a few
cried at the
tears.
end. I
Did you
won't
cry?
lie.
Okay, so it's
I
not just me.
cried.
I felt
I
like I was the
cried.
only one. I was like, oh my god, tell me buck up, like buck up at your big age. Like, why are you still
Now
crying
I was
over this?
crying. I was like, oh my god. I was like, oh, I have to tell the people on the podcast I cried because I cry. I shed tears. I shed tears. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I sound American, but yeah, I shed a few tears for the show. So it's like you said, it's very rare to see how they portray mental health in such a different way. And it was quite dynamic because
Mm,
they put it in a way that's easily digestible. I love the
yes.
whole aspect of fairy tales,
Yeah, I
like
was
each
gonna. I was literally
episode.
about to touch on that, like
Oh
the,
yeah.
the fairy tales thing. No, but continue. Don't let me cut you off. But yeah.
No, I was just about to say that each episode
Mm-hmm.
was literally, the name of a fairy tale,
Yeah.
and that centers around the episode. Like, and there's some fairy tales I've never heard. The one that really struck me was A Tale of Two Sisters.
Yeah,
Oof.
that was a bit.
That was a very intense fairy
We're
tale. I was like,
definitely we're definitely going to talk about that because she said a very strong statement,
Mm.
And I have a question for our listeners as well. I would like for us to actually go back and think about it. I mean, me and Simi will definitely be speaking on it on this episode, but I would also like to hear what our listeners think about that statement because, in my opinion, that was a very strong statement. But we will get there. Something as well that Simi just said and touched on was the fact that the episodes kind of centered around us like a fairy tale story. So
Mhm.
each episode they would like kind of introduce like a fairy tale. So for example, the king with the donkey ears. So like they every time they'd always come with like a children's story, and it kind of explained the storyline that was happening to our main characters. It was very refreshing. It was quite interesting to see. It was a little bit spooky sometimes, but then I'm a worse. Like I get scared very easily. So
Really? You thought it
yes,
was spooky?
yes, there were a few episodes. Like the
Nah.
first, like is it the first or the second episode where she was having sleep paralysis, and I thought that was such a wonderful way to kind of portray um how sleep paralysis works and how people that suffer from sleep paralysis, like how they kind of
Mm.
view it. And it would because
Mm.
like I have someone quite close to me who does get sleep paralysis
Oh wow, okay.
quite frequently, especially when he's stressed, when he's under a lot of stress, maybe at work or whatever he's doing in his life. And, he tends to suffer from sleep paralysis because of it. And it was very interesting to kind of see the way they portrayed that by, like it being like the shadow witch trying to basically haunting her like but then
Yeah.
few episodes I thought they were quite spooky, because she was in this grand house by herself in this very like
Mm.
days kind of like
Very
Adam's family kind of.
baroque,
Yeah,
yeah, era type
exactly.
of
If you've ever watched Adam's
architecture.
Family, yeah, it's kind of like that weird, like that quite,
Was it
old,
gothic?
yeah, quite
Gothic,
gothic.
yeah.
It was quite like I don't know. I found it quite spooky, but then like I said, I'm a bit of a wuss, so you're
But
gonna
you
have to
know what?
get
I
used
think I'm even more of a wuss than you. Like,
to.
I'm telling you, I got like really scared watching oh what's this horror, like this was the first and ever last horror I ever watched, and it was about the it's the boogeyman underneath the bed or something.
No, I've
I
never watched
slept
it.
like for 2 weeks with my lights on,
I've
and
never
like
watched
honestly, it was not funny at all, guys. So
it.
watching this was literally
Like what?
fine. Like I don't watch horrors. Like I do you know who do horrors that like is so intense that you probably will get nightmares? The Japanese. The Japanese do some kind of I don't know what they do, but their horrors.
I will not be
Ooh.
involved. I'm sorry, guys. I'm
I've seen
strictly.
what
I
I
can
tried
do
to watch one.
thriller.
I tried to watch one with my cousin because I knew somebody was. You know when you get all buffed. You puff out your chest. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
could
yeah.
do
I
this.
could do this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could do this. I'm telling you. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sis. I'm not watching. I'm not watching
No, no, I
anymore.
can't. Me, I know my boundaries. In this life, yeah, I believe it's good to know your limits. I know my limits when it comes to shows. There's some things I can and cannot do. Like you're actually reminding me of a time that basically I was watching a movie with my friend. It was a Nigerian film, and I don't know for
Oh,
all the Nigerian
Nigerian films.
listeners, you guys can relate. I've
Nollywood.
been
Oh Lord.
like Nollywood can instill the fear of God in you. I'm not even
I'm
kidding. Like
telling you.
the
Oh,
way they portray the ghosts and the cults and everything, I just found it too spooky. And at my big
nah.
age, it's just very recent. It wasn't even that long ago. We were trying to watch a movie on Netflix, and it was a Nollywood movie. And so for those that don't know, Nollywood is basically like the Nigerian Hollywood. So it's like
Yes.
our media, like our kind of uh how do I say? Yeah, it's just basically like Hollywood,
Yeah.
but
Basically.
In Nigeria basically. So
Mhm.
yeah, so they have like quite a few number of movies on Netflix now. And
Mhm.
why do I sound like I'm trying to like be a Netflix ambassador? But I wouldn't
Do you know
mind.
what, Netflix? If you're listening to this, bump, shout out,
But yeah, so basically,
pull up.
the bottom line of the story is the fact that it was about a cult, and I don't know, guys, I don't mess with that kind
Yeah,
of.
I don't. I no
I
no no no
don't. So
no.
I
Mm-mm.
was scared, and I was like, and then I got a call, and then I was like, okay, I'll talk to you later, bye. So then I just ended it. Like I was like, I'm not watching this movie again. And then the next day she was like, oh, are you gonna watch it? I was like, no, sis,
No.
no, that's the end of that. I'm not watching this with you. Sorry. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Yes, I liked the fact that the drama was able to kind of evoke that kind of little bit of fear, a little bit of
Mm,
intrigue, like
yes.
um yeah, and I like the way they kind of tackled each person's, like, because our main character, Kang Tae, sorry,
Kangta, yeah.
um was he worked in a psychiatric hospital, and so I like the fact that the drama was able to kind of portray the different patients, like their own story.
Yes.
Like we had one of a person that had suffered from PTSD when he
PTSD.
was in a war, like I think the Vietnam one.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, so well, I mean, obviously it's all fictional, but according to, the fiction of the story, the storyline, yeah, so he was a soldier and he killed a lot of people, but he was actually a very gentle soul. So he really suffered from PTSD because of it. And then we had somebody else who her daughter died, and
Oh, that was so sad.
that was so it was so heartbreaking. Her daughter died and she just couldn't get over,
Accept the
like
fact,
she
yeah,
couldn't
that
get
her
over the
daughter was
fact
dead.
that, and she kind of blamed herself. So she
Mm,
kind of then created this kind of reality in her mind that her daughter was coming to visit her, and
mm,
whereas the matter of fact was her daughter was actually already dead. And then
mm.
we also had someone who there was just quite a lot of people. We
There
had
was
people
one that was an alcoholic,
yeah,
and then there was one that was a nudist.
apart from
Um,
that, and one that was suffering from sorry, she had gone through domestic violence,
yes,
and
yes.
slightly grooming as well, because they mentioned that she had been with him from a very young age. So
Mm,
it was also kind of grooming, and then that also now led to her it making it even harder for her to leave him when she was
mm,
suffering from domestic violence. And then it was just very interesting to see. I really picked up on that one specifically because she was talking about, like, the fact that she basically saw it as this fairy tale, and her devotion towards her abuser was what made her stay. And I must actually say, before we get into this, that I am actually going to give a trigger warning, because this
oh,
could be quite
yes,
triggering
yes.
to a lot of
For
our
some
listeners.
people, yeah.
um so yes, we will be talking about a few heavy things, talking about a lot of mental health issues here or there, that
Mm,
the patients did go through. So I would just like to let everyone know ahead of time, so in case it's not something you can handle or anything. At the end of the day, we do have to take care of each other, and
yes,
be aware
yes.
of everyone. But yeah, that's just a trigger warning for everybody. But yeah, I think that I loved about the drama. I can't lie. I did. There was one critique that I didn't like, but it didn't carry, like, it wasn't a theme that carried on for the whole drama, but was when they were kind of like making fun of, no, they kind of trivialized, you know, someone's like, how do I explain it? Like, they trivialize homosexuality, which is a really big topic for a lot of, like, it's a big
In
thing for
what
a lot of
way?
people. So basically, in the first like two episodes, there was a time where, like, Kang Tae met Miss Moon's um manager,
Yes.
and he, like, the way, like, there was something that went on. They had like an interaction, and it was a little bit, it kind of made fun, like, it was kind of like, oh, I'm not interested in you, kind of thing. And it was a little, like, a few
Oh,
people could have found that quite offensive.
I actually didn't pick up on that, funny enough.
um so yeah, but other than that, but the thing is that theme didn't carry on throughout the whole drama. It
Mm,
only literally happened for like two episodes, and other than that, it was cool.
I actually I actually didn't really pick up on that aspect. So it's actually nice that we can watch the same thing and we can pick up totally different things
Yeah.
in the entirety. I would say for me, I really like the show because not just about the whole fairy tale aspect, but also about the whole the stories and how they intertwine and how they they feed into the bigger picture. I've not seen a drama do that seamlessly, like each story was able to seamlessly fit into the other story. So that was very interesting for me to see. And also what was very interesting for me to see, is they had this dynamic between the brothers. So Kang Tae has a younger brother called Sang Tae, um, and he's autistic, or he's on this spectrum, and the he's on the spectrum, so but he's older than the old than his brother Kangtae. And that was interesting because, like, it's like the younger brother taking care of the older brother, but you're able to see the dynamic and the growth between these two characters, from when they were young, and explores all of that as well. I feel like it's a really good drama to kind of educate yourself, about people on the spectrum, how intelligent they can be, and things like that. So I really, really, really like the seamless, you know, um, what's it called, synergy of all the plots and all the stories. So yes, I loved the synergy between the plot
Mm.
of all the different characters. So which one was your favorite character, Tommy?
Definitely Miss Moon. She was definitely my favorite.
Oh my god, her fashion sense, unbelievable.
She,
The
as her
holy
looks for
grail.
days. She gave us looks for days. That's what she did. Like her nightwear. See, yeah, there was one shoe that she had on. I actually had to go look for it. And you're laughing, but I'm actually being so serious. Like I actually like, and the funny thing is, there's a little there's like a little like article, like one of those like
Mm,
magazine type articles online, and it literally has like each episode, it has like the really nice fancy shoe that she wore in it,
yeah.
like honestly. And I was like, oh my god, this is so it's it made me know that at least it's not just me that that's interested, because those shoes were banging. I was like, and then when I went to look at it, it was like 500 and something pounds on sale, and I was like, I do not have 500 pounds to spend on shoes.
Don't worry, let's just manifest it right now. We'll be getting those shoes. We'll be getting those shoes.
I hope so. But yeah, so I was like, nah, but those were like, mm-mm. As in, what I can definitely say is the shoe cam was just lit. And did you notice in her dressing, like the every time that, how do I say it? So like her clothes kind of gave you like a preview of what the scene was gonna be like. Was it just me that noticed it?
I think that was just you because I was just saying that I noticed that she had a banging body. Not to objectify women, but
She does, she does,
whew,
she does, she does, she does, she does.
her figure was, my
Mm-mm,
God.
mm-mm.
Like, I mean, how could you have such a
She
tiny
just
waist?
she just oozed sex appeal. It's actually
She
crazy. I was
did.
like,
I was like, "Ah,
yo.
if I can walk out of my house looking like that, my God, there gonna be some nosebleeds on the streets." You know what I'm saying?
Anime style.
And I swear, it's only anime that you see it. The guy's like,
Anime style. But yeah, like no, 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 no. I have to say, like I think that was one thing I definitely noticed. I feel like every time she wore like her clothes kind of showed like or gave you like a preview of what the scene was going to be like. So for example,
mm,
when she was running back because her manager lied to her about the fact that Gangte was going to meet, the person in the house, her mom in the house.
yeah,
You saw that she was wearing red, and she was like, when she was getting ready that day, she looked like, danger, like red, signifies danger. She
yeah.
looked like she was ready to fight. And
Oh,
also like one of the times
yes.
where like they were really happy, she wore more colorful and bright clothes, or even white clothes. So
Oh,
like if you notice, like when they
yes.
went to take their family picture, she was wearing white.
Why?
The
Oh my
day that
God.
he also fought for her, the day that he fought for her, and the day that she fought for the girl that was going through domestic violence, she was also
Mm,
wearing white. So if you notice, like, so she
mm,
she was looking like the hero, whereas like in the beginning, the first the first time we see her, she's dressed in all
All
black.
black.
So like I
Oh, it
genuinely feel like yes, I
changes.
feel
Guys, literally, I have a light bulb in my head right now. I'm like,
like
I didn't even know. Do you know what? They need to hire us because, like, we've just got different perspectives. Like,
I mean, I'm sure that's what the
the director was trying to
yeah, I'm sure
point
that's
out.
what they were trying to portray. But I mean, and I noticed it. So like when she was wearing black, she was trying to portray like the bad villain person, and when she was white,
Mm,
that was when she stood up for the girl that was going through domestic violence, and I was just kind of like, and that also made her seem like very innocent, very like
mm.
pure, and I was just like, oh, okay, I see the play on colors, like what they were trying to do with the colors. But when she was like going through a bad phase, like even when they were like close to the last episode, I think
Yeah.
the 15th episode, when she was sure that they weren't going to be together, she started wearing black again. So I was like, yeah, definitely, I can
Mm.
see a
The
trend
play on
here.
colors. Oh
Yeah.
my God. And do you know what? There's a psychology. I was actually reading something about that earlier this week, that
Mm-hmm.
there's a psychology between the colors you wear, and what it means. So blue evokes like joy, yellow evokes like fun, red seductive. So it's, do you know what? The fact, oh my God, that, oh, I'm giving you clicks right now, Somi. I'm giving you clicks because I was
Word,
like, oh
word,
my
word.
God. I just noticed it. Oh, now you know what? When I rewatch it again, because it's definitely gonna be one of those dramas I will
Yeah.
rewatch. That I would definitely see that now because you pointed it out to
Mm-hmm.
me. I'm sure our listeners will be like, "Oh my God, yes, yes." I would say my favorite character was Sangtae. Not just the
Yeah,
fact
yeah,
that
he was a close
was,
second, can't lie.
no, honestly, like as much as I love Miss Moon,
Mm-hmm.
I really, really appreciated Sangtae's character because even though he was on the spectrum, and I feel like some people have like a maybe a already, you know, prejudged mindset
Yeah.
towards people on the spectrum,
Yeah.
not expecting them to be intelligent and
Yeah.
things like that. I feel like the actor that acted Sangtae gave his character justice
No, he
because
did a good job.
Kangtae I mean, Sangtae was, oh my God, wisdom. Wisdom. I mean, like, I have a notebook and I was just writing some quotes. Like, like there's one quote he said that I really liked.
Hmm.
It goes, "Don't be stubborn when things don't work out. You
Yeah.
need to learn how to use other methods." I was
Hmm.
like, wisdom, 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 wisdom,
Yeah.
and
No,
then
Sancte
like
came with the quotes. He really came with the quotes.
he did.
Mhm.
He really did. And the thing is that I feel like the time he came with the quotes, it was the time the characters needed it the most.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just kind of like, so I would say he's my favorite character out of every. I loved everyone individually, but he's
And
my
there was
favorite
something
character.
that Miss Moon said about him as well. She said he's very calculating.
He
Uh,
is. He's
and
quite smart.
yeah, so and you could see that in the scene where his brother had lied, like he had caught his brother's lie one too many
Mm,
times, and he was when he made the scene in the hospital where he was like, oh, he tried to he pushed me in the water, like he tried to drown me, blah blah blah, he tried to kill me, he's a bad brother,
mm,
he's a liar, da 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 da. And I was kind of like, yo, like so like where he had that kind of like breakdown, it was like it was so heartbreaking to see, but I was like, I don't know, I felt in that moment, that was when I remembered what she said about the fact that he's very calculating.
calculating.
And you
I feel
wouldn't
like
think
because he
that.
had, yeah, because the thing is that he has his memory. If you notice throughout the whole entire drama, he could say word for word
Hmm.
every, because there's this favorite tape that he watches, right? People that have seen the drama, and he could say the things word for word. Even though he's on the spectrum, the guy is intelligent. I mean, like for someone to be able to say word for word
Yeah,
every like single scene of something, you must have watched it maybe a million times, but I
yeah,
feel like he has photogenic memory. And I feel like there was a part that Kangtae mentioned that Sangtae does remember, he remembers everything. The only reason he couldn't remember his mother's killer was because of the fact that it was a traumatic
yeah.
experience.
And he had repressed that memory. But
Yeah,
the
and he
thing
had
is,
repressed it.
yeah,
Yeah.
not even, yeah, I don't even think he didn't remember. He just, didn't want to deal with it.
Exactly. He was
And
running away from that memory because you know, that's why he was reacting badly
yeah,
to the butterflies,
yeah,
you know? Um and for our listeners, the butterfly if signified, you know, something that was trauma to him. You know, the person that killed his mother had a butterfly brooch,
yeah,
but he thought it was like a physical, but the way his mind interpreted it was like a physical butterfly.
killed
So
his
whenever
mother, yeah.
spring came, him and his brother had to leave a city to go to another place.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
it always felt like they had to run away from
they had
the
to run away
butterfly.
from the butterflies,
Yeah.
which I thought was very intelligent on the director's aspect.
Yeah, that was so
You
cool.
know, you know, because butterflies fly everywhere, and
Yeah.
you know they only come out for a period of season from
And
spring to
apart from
summer, I
that,
believe.
you can't escape from them because
Exactly,
they're a
because
part
they're
of nature.
everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So it was interesting to see. So I really say Sangtae was my favorite character. As much as I
Mm.
love Miss Moon, but
No,
Sangtae, like,
Miss Moon was definitely my fave.
yeah.
But then, yeah, there was a few things that I actually wanted to touch on about her attitude and her growth. So,
Okay.
throughout the drama, from because from the beginning, you could tell she was very like melancholic.
Pessimistic.
Yeah, and she kind of treated everyone like they were objects rather than humans.
Mm.
And then there was the story about the fact that in one of her story books, because she's a writer, so one of her stories were about the fact that there was this child that always just kept eating, 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 and
Oh,
they
the
didn't have
Hank.
yeah they didn't have any warmth, so they didn't know what it felt like to be like warm, and all they just did was
Mm.
just eat, and they couldn't, and then they
That
basically
was a very disturbing story.
yeah, I thought it was that's what I'm telling you. At first, when the drama first started, you would think it was quite, oh, okay, this is gonna be comedy. We're just gonna, we're gonna kiki, we're gonna laugh. But the more
But
that
that was
it
so
went in,
kicky, and he was like, "Oh, I
it
need to
became very
think."
heavy. I was like, bruh, like this is a bit intense. Like, oof. Sometimes I needed to take a break. I'm like, oof, this is quite an intense drama. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, so like one thing I could say, like I noticed was like at first she used to treat him like he was her property.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
obviously Kangtae really had a problem with that because he already felt like he was his brother Sangtae's property. His mom said the
Mm.
same thing to him when he was growing up, before she died, that, oh, he was born to take care of his older brother. And, carrying that kind of heavy burden, because I feel like they all just had their own trauma that they were kind of dealing
They
with, their
did, yeah.
own hurts from their past that they were all dealing with. And, it can be things like that. And we just underestimate like the power of our words. And I'm sure his mother never really meant it in that sense, but to the point where he was like, Kangtae belongs to Kangtae, Sangtae belongs to
Belongs to Sangte,
Sangtae.
yeah.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
belong to
It's an
anyone.
enormous burden to tell somebody that, like, to tell your child that you're responsible for another child.
Yeah,
It is an enormous burden. And I could feel like, it's something that people could relate to a
yeah,
lot,
yeah.
because if you've got siblings and you're not an only child, sometimes you get put in positions that you're asked, it's like, wait, but they have their own mind, they do
Mm-hmm,
think they can do things for themselves, so why am I responsible for them? But so I could understand that pain in a way, for from his perspective. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
it is a very interesting um perspective to have, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think the author was really trying to also show, like, shed light on people who are carers, like people who have to
Mm,
care for, sorry, the writer, people who have to care for, people with disabilities and things like that. It can, like, or like siblings of carers or siblings of people with disabilities, because like there's a lot of times like the siblings go unnoticed.
exactly.
So
Yeah, it's like you're in the shadow of the other
yeah, like
person.
be it older or younger. Like I know like a story of a friend of mine, who had a, like, a family member that was kind of a little bit ill when they were younger,
Mm,
and because they were always ill, um, like they felt a bit neglected. Like, sorry, the older sibling was always ill, so like the younger one always just felt neglected, like, because
mm,
and it's not, the fault of anybody. It was just the circumstances. And sometimes, like, the siblings, and like a sibling of someone who has like a disability, sometimes they can feel left out. They can feel insignificant in the family, and sometimes children act out because of it, or like they recede
So
into
gets
their
noticed.
shell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, people react differently. And it's for me, I feel like it also really shed a light on the fact that it's not just the parent who has to take care of someone who maybe may have a disability in the family,
It's
but
everybody's
also, yeah,
responsibility.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, but also the people, the other family members, especially growing up as a child, and feeling like you're not important, like you're never a priority, can be
Mm.
quite a painful experience. And we see that a lot in Kante's character, and in his version of his memories. Because
Yes.
remember, like, the time when they went to go for noodles, there's the special, is it jajangmyeon, there was a specific dish that Kante really liked.
Like to eat. Yeah.
And his mom took him there because she still wanted him to feel special and
Mm.
feel remembered. But in his memory, it just felt like she was only catering to
Her
Sante,
brother, his
like
brother.
to
Yeah.
his brother. And it was quite a traumatic experience. Even leaving there, he felt like his mom was only taking care of him, of his brother, and she never really took care of him. And he always just
Mm.
had to, like, be also his brother's, like, caretaker. And it was quite hard for him to be able to actually understand that his mom loved him just as much, but she just had to take care of Sancte a little bit more.
More.
And
Yeah.
even Sancte went on to say it as well, that their mom was a good mom to him, but not to Kante. And
Mm.
that
Yeah.
for me was a very
Bold
it was a
statement. Yeah.
very significant statement. And I was just kind of like, wow, like, it's crazy how sometimes, like, because you're trying to cater so much to one person, you end up
That you forget the other
neglecting the
person.
other.
Yeah.
And and it's not just even for people who have disabilities. Sometimes it goes with even your relationships, and
Mm.
in your family. Like, sometimes you're trying to cater towards a new baby, and then you just forget about the other child. And we know all about middle child syndrome, like, uh, I mean, it's kind of like it's a funny thing sometimes where people laugh about it, but at the end of the day, sometimes the middle child then acts out. Because why? Because they feel a bit neglected sometimes, or whatever. But yeah, so I felt like there were so many things that this drama touched on, that I have to say, I can't but tell you it was a good drama, and
It
you
is
should
a good
watch
drama.
it.
It
Honestly,
definitely is a good drama to learn about people's perspectives
yeah.
and people's lives in general that you may not even think about. Because for me, I feel like normal is overrated. Everyone everyone's unique in their own little individual way, and this drama shows that. And people, and I love the fact that it shows that even though people might have, like, the characters may have one or two mental um disabilities or
Hmm.
constrictions. you know it showed the reason why,
Yeah.
but it also shows them how they live with it and deal with it.
Hmm.
So which is, I feel, is a good way of to portray to the world that even if you have a mental disability, or you have a disability, a physical one, you can still go on in the world and do great things.
Yeah.
So I really like that part of the message. So I wanted to us to talk about a specific, maybe a scene that we feel that touched us the most. There's one, like I said earlier on, A Tale of Two Sisters.
Mm.
And you mentioned, like, there was this part that you thought was a bold statement,
Yeah.
and I think I know the part you're talking about, but correct me if I'm wrong. She said the one who neglects or turns a blind eye to the abuser is worse than to the abuse is
You
worse than
got
the
it.
abuser. I knew it. See, we're synchronizing.
I was like, yo, that's
I'm telling you.
that was quite a heavy statement. Some people may
What
not agree.
why would you think people might not agree to that statement?
Okay. First of all, before I even say why I don't think people agree with that statement, because I don't agree with that statement personally.
Okay.
I feel like they're both at fault, both the person that's doing the abusing and both the person that's neglecting the people that are doing the abusing.
Mm.
Are both are like they're both wrong. Like they're both culprits. It's kind of like if you're like, let's just go to the extreme. If someone killed someone, you that was helping the person kill someone or just watching them kill someone and not do anything about it, you're just as bad as the murderer.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's
Mm.
just the way I
Mm.
see it. So I felt like you that watched someone murder someone and didn't stop them aren't you're not worse than them. You're just both of you are the same.
Mm.
Both of you are the
Mm.
same because you've basically your silence has shown consent. Your silence has shown that
Mm.
you agree with their actions. And sometimes it's how to, see, yeah, this topic is quite heavy.
It's a heavy one.
Like,
It's a heavy
because
one.
honestly, you have to, like, I really don't want to speak from a very ignorant point of view,
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
I've never there are some things I've just never had to go through in life, and I
Mm.
don't want to be ignorant to and
Someone
say
else's pain
exactly to anybody else's pain. But at the same time, I mean, from the little knowledge that I know, I feel, in my own opinion, that both of them are just as
are a
bad.
fault.
If you look at even child abuse, for example, because that was the storyline. That was the
Yeah, the girl with
story
the dissociative personality
of the
disorder,
sisters with the two sisters. Exactly. She had gone through like
child
child
abuse.
abuse. Her
Yeah.
father, her father watched while her mother used to beat her senseless.
Was it the stepmother? Was it her actual mother?
I'm not even sure. Either way,
Because they never made that clear
they didn't make that clear, but it doesn't
at
really matter
all.
either
It
way.
doesn't matter, but like, yeah, 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 you're right.
So her father watched as her mom or stepmom, I'm not even sure, beat her and used to beat her constantly. And then he sold her off because he thought she was possessed when she ended up
She was younger.
developing, a mental disorder. And it was like, it seems mad and all, but at the end of the day, like, these are things that do happen to people, and it was
Mm.
crazy that then he came back because he needed a liver transplant
No,
from
I
her.
I thought I was like, you have
That was
not
brazen.
so
Like,
brazen, and I was like, how can you like actually want to force somebody to give you your liver, right, after you've done such harm to them?
yeah, like, you literally basically said, this is not my daughter anymore, like, you can have her, she's possessed, and then you want to come back and now come and be begging her for her
Or to,
liver.
to come and save your life.
Like,
Oh,
it's yeah,
I got so mad. I
I
could
was
have
just
thrown something
like,
at my TV.
that's just mad entitled. Just shows how human beings can be so entitled. It's crazy. But yeah, like, for me personally, I think both of them are just as bad
Bad
because,
as each other,
yeah,
yeah.
like, you can't watch and not say anything while somebody's doing something terrible, and then think that you can be like, it's just like, it's the same thing with bullying. There's no context that I can think of that this doesn't apply. Like, even for
Mm,
example with bullying, like, if you watch while other people get bullied, you're just as bad, because even though you're saying, oh well, I'm a bystander, but you didn't do anything to stop it. You didn't say, oh, actually, don't you think that's wrong? Like, I mean, I know it can be sometimes scary, or it can be, you can feel like, oh well, it's not my place, but at the same
mm.
time, it's kind of like, how can you watch while somebody else is like doing harm to another person
Another
and
person.
think that you can stand on a moral high ground? It's just, I feel like it's mad entitled, and it's true, honestly, but that's
No,
just
I'm
my
not laughing
opinion.
because I'm just laughing because I'm not laughing at the point, but I was just laughing because, like, it is mad entitled, and I 100% agree with you. W- do you know what I feel like I wanted to mention was that people should stick together,
Mm-hmm.
and like I wanted to also mention that it just takes one person to voice out. That's how the whole Me Too movement started, the
Yeah.
whole Black Lives Matter movement started.
Yeah.
It just takes one person to voice out and
Mm-hmm.
show the rest of the world that you don't have to live in conditions that are wrong.
Yeah.
Obviously, do it in a safe manner.
Yeah.
Don't go out of your way to harm yourself or anything like that. But you know, make sure your voices are you are hurt, and that could save a life at the end of the day, you know.
Mm,
Um but yeah, I wanted to say one quote that really stuck with me is that people stick together
mm-hmm,
because they are weak, but and because of that they lean on each other,
mm-hmm.
and that's what matters to us humans, being able to lean on each other in this world, because to go through life alone, oof, that's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
But
coming from me personally, I don't know. I dread lonely. I think that's one of my biggest fears. I can't lie,
loneliness,
being lonely,
yeah.
and
Oh well, you
lonely.
got me, girl.
Thanks. But yeah, loneliness for me is one of my biggest fears. I've always said it. To the point where like I can't, like I literally said this to you a couple of days ago, didn't I? The fact that
Mm,
I don't like to eat out alone because it makes me feel lonely.
mm.
I can eat out, like I can order food in to my house and eat, that's fine. But to go out to a restaurant and eat out by myself, I don't know. It's just weird to me. Like I can't do it. Not to slight anyone that does it. Like I feel like that's very brave. Literally just last year I was finally able to go to the cinema on my own. Before that I was never able to do that. I mean we are making progress. Like I am making progress. But yeah, like I think that is one of my biggest fears, and I have been like making steps to try and tackle that fear, because at the end of the
And
day
that's
I'm
the
not
most
alone.
important thing,
But yeah,
the
like that quote, it for me was quite. I felt like it had a bit of a sense of truth to it.
it
But
does.
before we even go back and go to your quote, let's just go back, dial it back quickly. I just want to ask our listeners to put it in our comments, in the comment section, on Insta or on our socials, what you think. We are also on YouTube as well, so you can write in the comment section what you think um about the statement, the abuser, whoever watches is worse than the abuser. What do you guys
Ooh,
think?
let's get a dialogue, because we
Yeah,
want to learn from you
yeah,
as much as we learn from each other as
yeah.
well.
I would
So,
really like to know what our listeners think about that statement, because I really did feel like that was quite a strong statement, and that could also not, like, I mean, it could be right, it could be wrong. I don't think there's a right or wrong in this. It's just
answer, yeah.
like what people think. So I'm quite curious to see what people think. But yeah,
My
sorry.
my
You-
own personal opinion though on
Mhm,
that statement was that for me it kind of brought on a light bulb, and like you said, when you were talking, another light bulb went on, as in like, when you were talking about bullying and things, and there are a lot of people that don't use their voice and speak up.
mhm,
But for me, I would say, you know I would, not strongly, but I would agree with the statements, in the sense that, like, even though you're not causing the harm, you not
mhm,
voicing it out causes more harm to that
mm,
person,
mm,
because you're seeing it, you're a witness,
mm.
right? And I feel like that's something that the guilt, if anything were to happen to that person in question, the guilt, if God forbid, the guilt I would feel,
Yeah, apart from that as well, you're also validating the person
what
that's
the other
doing the
person is
harm.
doing,
Yeah. You're
exactly.
validating their actions by not speaking out
So that's why
and,
I say,
voicing out the fact that what they're doing is wrong.
exactly. So that's why I say that I don't strongly agree with it, but I slightly agree with it a bit more,
I get,
in
like, I
that
mean,
statement.
I get what you're saying in the context of what you've just said. It's just for
Yeah.
me, I was just kind of like, both of you, all of you are all in the
You're
same pot.
you're all
Like,
wrong. You're all in the
all of
same.
you, you're all just useless. Every single one of you, like all of you together. I'm packing everyone. All of you shoot to jail. Like it's just, oh yeah, but yeah. But I do
Oh,
get what you
yeah.
mean in that
That's
context.
but that's my own perspective
You know.
on it,
Mm.
but like you said, let's get a dialogue going, let's get discussing, and I would love to learn from other people's point of view as well. And I know I'm coming with the quotes today. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. And then the final quote I wanted to mention was that what the shadow, which was literally at the end of the drama, said, what the shadow which is stolen from them is not their true faces, but the courage to find happiness. So sometimes we may feel that, like, you know we can't see, we don't know who we are, we can't
Mhm.
identify what our face is. But
Mhm.
the thing is that, like, the shadow here represents the trauma or the darkness or something like that.
Mhm.
But and what it takes away is not your identity but your courage to find happiness. And I just thought that was a phenomenal um statement that I wrote it
Mm.
down. Like, it's not, when you start striving to find happiness on, or your definition of happiness, by the way, because everyone's definition of happiness is different.
Yeah.
So my definition of happiness is definitely different to Tommy's definition of happiness.
Yeah.
So you know when, if some, traumatic happens, it takes away that, for you to find that, your courage to find that happiness, your definition of happiness. So I just thought it was a very powerful quote.
Yeah, that
um
like even as you said it now, I've thought about it more deeply. Like you're right, actually,
mm,
because I didn't even pay much attention. I thought I was like, oh, that's cute. Like that's a cute ending. That's a cute quote to say, but I didn't actually think about it. But yeah, you're right. Like because when you have gone through a traumatic experience, sometimes it does take a lot of courage for you to kind
to
of
find
like
your happiness
yeah,
again. Yeah.
to start to do things that won't even make you happy again. People that have gone through, like, for example, sexual assault or things like that,
mm,
through
mm,
a traumatic experience that you just shut yourself out, like from
mm,
your friends, from your family, and you just feel like, oh, like, there's something, you feel alone, and it takes a long time for people to be able to, like, sometimes, that's one of the first things that, when you've been through a traumatic experience, and maybe you go to like one of those like help, those like alliance meetings or those AA,
mm,
things like that. For example, if you're like, you're recovering from alcoholism or something like that, they'll tell you you're not alone. Like, and they keep saying that over and over again, that you're not alone, and that because words like that, words of affirmation like that, do tend to are able to help you to kind of gather that courage, gather that strength to even try and look for more help, or even
exactly.
that will restore your happiness. And I like the fact that the drama didn't just make them conveniently forget about their trauma. Like
mm,
it just they acknowledged it, especially Kang Tae, when he
mm,
was because closer to the end of it, he was kind of like, oh no, I'll just treat it like a nightmare, pretend it wasn't real. And she was,
mm,
no, because you're gonna put on a mask, and you're gonna put on this
exactly.
face, and I know it's not really what it is in you, and it's gonna eat me inside watching you do that, because I know
To
that you're
yourself, yeah.
hurting inside. And what I liked about it was the fact that the writer kind of made them aware that, okay, yes, we do have this trauma, and it's not going to be something we can get over in a day or two or three
Exactly.
or even 6 months, but we will work at it, and hopefully one day it will become something that we won't remember too, like, too much, or we won't want to dwell on too much, but it would become a distant memory rather than a memory that hurts us every single day. And that just made me, I was like, yeah, because at the end of the day, in real life, like, when you go through things like traumatic experiences, you never like, it's impossible to forget
Forget, yeah. It's
something.
impossible.
Like, you can't, like, it just showed that, okay, yes, although you've gone through this, you can continue life, and still be happy and find the courage and be happy, um with that baggage, but knowing that it's something that you can heal from, rather than something that will always be lorded over your head, like a cloud or something. um
Exactly.
I really like the fact that the writer didn't just make the trauma disappear, but rather just made them, like, grow through the trauma, and and also just acknowledged it, and then we're like, okay, yeah, we know we're always gonna have this, we're always gonna remember this, we'll have our good days, we'll have our bad days, but even through it all, we still have each other, and we're going for our happiness. And he showed that with Kang Tae trying to go back to school. He showed that
Mm.
with Sancte going and becoming an
An
illustrator.
illustrator and
Um,
going his own way, and leaving his. That was the bit that made me cry.
uh,
When they finally cut the umbilical cord between them, and went their separate ways, like, not for like forever, but cause Kante wanted to go on this trip, and he went on the trip, but he knew what would make him happy, and that was drawing. So spending time with his brother father was made him happy, but at the same time he was like, nah, I need to get back to what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it just goes to the fact that if you can't erase it, you just need to cover it up with something better. And that was illustrated with the butterfly, because the
Yeah.
Miss Moon's mom drew a butterfly, but then the rest of the characters covered it up with the painting, and it made Sangte able to draw a beautiful butterfly
Yeah.
you know over it. So it's not like you've said, it's not, it's completely, it's like what you were saying, that you're working through it every day and you're taking the courage to make you happy. And I feel like that ties in nicely with what you were saying. So, because we need to be rounding up very soon and
Mm-hmm.
shortly, what would you give it popcorn wise? So, by the way, guys, we've changed our popcorn rating system.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go from 5, right? We're going to 10.
Yeah. So 10 being the best, obviously, and 1 being the lowest of the lows.
Perfect.
I would hope that I would never have to give it a drama 1, hopefully. But yes.
Well, the ones you drop, you're giving them a
Yeah,
1.
well,
It's like,
basically,
not
yeah.
even, it's a 0. It's a 0.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about the dramas I'm dropping. But anyway, that will come later. So for this drama, and the way it portrayed everything, I think I will give it a 7. Yeah,
A 7.
yeah, a 7. It's gonna be a set. Actually, no, maybe a 7.5.
7.5 popcorns.
Yeah,
Right,
so
okay.
seven popcorns and
And
one
a
corn and
kernel.
kernel and a popcorn kernel.
And a popcorn girl. For me, I would say, I don't know, I really liked the fact that it was a drama that made me think, and it was a drama that made me kind of learn something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more leaning to 8 popcorns. Very close. I would say it's high, it's really high. And like, I'm the type of person, I do not like rewatching anything because I find it like a waste of time. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, I feel like this is gonna be a drama that I will constantly revisit. Like Boys of the Flowers, I probably revisit like maybe once every 3 or 4 years. Just to relive my youth. And this one will probably be one of those dramas that I
Mm-hmm.
will be revisiting
Mm-hmm.
as well. So that's why I gave you a high 8 popcorns.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Is there anything else you'd like to mention to me?
I think that's it, to be
I think
honest.
we've covered everything.
Yes.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear feedback from our listeners, and you know, get the discussion popping on our Instagram. So do give us a like and a follow. And if you're enjoying this, encourage us by giving us a review on either, well, iTunes. I don't think Spotify allows you to review, do they?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think just
Yeah,
with
so
iTunes.
iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and now we're gonna be on YouTube as well, like
Yeah.
Tommy said earlier. So, let's get chatting, let's get a popping, and let's become best friends, guys. Okay?
I mean, you love this best friends thing, don't you?
Honestly, like I'm telling you, I'm best friends with everyone. Well, not really.
I was not gonna sorry, hon, I can't relate.
No, no, no. But I do genuinely like people. I'm a people person, I would say, and and I feel like, for me, there's rankings. So you're all my
Mm.
best friends. There's rankings, but you're all my best friends.
Right.
That's how I'll put it.
Guys, you're my listeners. Woo! I don't use that word lightly, guys. So yeah.
The best friends, yeah. Like I said, there's rankings, but I feel like if we can connect with one or two people, your best friend status for me.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Cool. Anyway, guys, so I think we're going to round it up there, and we appreciate you again for tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think that's the end.
Yeah, that's the end.
Okay, bye.
Catch you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.